Wilson Morales from Black Film and TV. How's it going, folks?
Great.
What
Thanks for
time of
talking
day?
to us.
Okay. So now look, you put this story together. What was the inspiration behind it?
Um, I know this question. Yeah, you're the first one to ask that today, and I know this question is coming, and it's always so difficult to really explain. Um, but I think in my family, because of the war, there have been some difficulties starting in life for my mother, um, and in a way, this grieving and what do you do with it in your life? I think an inspiration for me to, but I only found that out after writing the story, I have to tell you, because like we wrote the whole thing, I wrote it and I worked together with my producer and we talk about it, and then it struck me much later why I needed to look at how does a person survive certain things that happen so early in your life. So
Mhm.
yeah.
And Natasha, what led you to say yes to taking on this project?
Well, it was just quite a role to get stuck into, out the gate. There was this scene, this very dramatic scene that you unfold straight away. And then it's just following this woman, and you don't know where this woman is going with this. Where does she go from here? Where does she go from that point, and what's she done with her pain? And what you find is she hasn't really worked through the pain at all. There's a lot to come, and it was really. I was also getting to shoot out in Ireland, which is where all my heritage are from. I was getting to work with Nanouk, who's filmed Cobain. I'd been sent and watched and loved, and was so excited to just be involved in this independent filmmaking. And it was kind of more than I thought that it would be. I really had such an experience doing it. So happy I said yes. It's been great.
Is there anything you wanted to add to the character outside of what the script called for?
So can you rephrase that for me? Sorry.
As you read the script, is there anything you wanted to add to the character outside of what the script called for? I'm sure during processes of filming, whether it's a certain look or a certain statement or so forth, in order to make the character whole.
Okay. Well, yeah, definitely. When I was reading the script, I would write down little notes, and like things would come to me, like, would she wear this? What do you? I think there was. I can't remember what other things there were, but even things like a necklace, like a charm. I asked Nanouk, do you think she'd wear her sister's necklace? Little things like this. So we had conversations, and basically Nanouk said yes to all of them. I think, yeah, it's just completely collaborative, and then same for Nanouk. Like I think outside of the script, you'd be bringing things. It's just like that collaboration that happened pretty much straight away, really.
Well, it's such a magical moment when you have written a character and then suddenly there's a real human being and that's going to embody this person. And everybody always brings like their own way of walking or talking or and then of course there's, she just told me she doesn't walk that way at all. She made this sort of way of moving around for the character, but I think it's a magical moment where these things merge and you see what can you use. I think you brought a sort of sweetness to the role that didn't live in the character on the page, but you have you're also I think from a natural way you're a very polite person, just so to be so sometimes Jen's really rude to people. She gives them headbutts and she doesn't really she's surprised by her own actions actually, but I thought that combination with a certain sweetness was very interesting, not to make it black on black or make it too obvious, just to make it a counter force.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Anything you wanted to add? Okay, so part of a character that's not mentioned is the forest. There's a lot of scenes within the forest. Can you talk about shooting there and not making it look like a theatrical film where it could have just been in one setting or two settings and just focusing on Natasha and the other characters, but taking it outside?
Well, we had a lot of time looking for the locations, and actually, it's something I do myself. I had location scouts with me as well, but first I went on a holiday with my family to the area of Kerry, and I found all these amazing pieces of woods, which they're all very small because there's not many big forests in Ireland. But I wanted to have pieces of the forest embody certain emotions. Like there's a dead forest where she has her nightmares, but there's a very lush and beautiful wild forest where she is meeting up with her old friend when they sort of make up for the past. And so I think the location should also embody the emotion that the scene wants to convey by themselves. If you just would put a camera on the Gleninch Park and you get a certain feeling, they are very specific and very telling in a way. So I was
Mhm.
happy that it was possible also to use them all in the film.
Natasha, how are you with forests and bugs?
Or the
Well,
bugs.
great. Bugs, I would say at home, I'm not like completely at one with, but on this job, I had no bound. There was nothing that kind of frazzled me. I was absolutely fine with it. So they're holding bugs crawling on me, bugs everywhere, and I was absolutely fine. It was. I'm not like terribly squeamish, but like I wouldn't out of choice go and usually pick up a spider or something.
Oh, I
Uh,
hate spiders. I'm
but
terrified of them.
maybe the beetle just is like I'll pick up a beetle now. If you give me a beetle, I'll pick it up.
So you can go to a picnic, and if a beetle's on your arm, you're like, all right, it's just a beetle.
It's my friend. It's my friend. You want something? You want something to eat? Yeah.
So how long did it take for you to mentally be like, okay, it's a film, it's a beetle? Did you have to? Because sometimes you can psych yourself up.
I know, but that was what was so like amazing about it was that I didn't need that, and that I think that is part of how we started off with Jen and costume going out to the forest and getting to know the forest. I actually just think I was bleeding into Jen very like at ease, slowly, easefully. And then that just meant that those things really didn't alarm me. Honestly, like I wasn't squeamish at all about it. Thank goodness for that.
The stories about guilt that carry for such a long period of time. And for Nanouk, as you put the story together, as the audience watches it, it starts off when, she's young to, we don't know how many years have gone by till she's older. There's that in between that, whether or not you want to tell the story or not, that, okay, we have to gather, like, why is she carrying this guilt for so long? Was that a thought process as you was putting together, like, when people are questioning, like, why so long? Is this pattern going on?
Well, I wanted to show if nobody forces you and if you are not able to do it yourself and you think you survived because you found a way to cope with it. You found a way to cope with your past, but you don't question it because it's too dangerous to go there. Like she really doesn't want to visit that feeling inside of her. But then the film starts where she has to. So I think if the friend from the past hadn't come back to this little village, maybe she wouldn't have changed. But then everybody around her is choosing life. Like her best friend is getting married, and she's happy for him, but at the same time it does something to her. It's like a strange imbalance, a feeling that she doesn't even know why do I question this. I'm happy for my friend, but he's getting married and there's something bugging me about it. Bug, because because she's not moving forward herself and she's not able to free herself from the past.
What was it about Jen? Is there any traits in her background that you can relate to? Natasha?
Other than loving forests, I mean, I'm definitely fond of those, and so is Jen. And trucks now, pickup trucks. I mean, clearly, yeah. But in my childhood, I mean, Ireland really is a place special in my heart. You know, I really feel at home there, and the landscape. It feels like my ancestors are just in the wind. You know, it's so like in that light, I felt very connected to her, in that I can sort of understand maybe Irish relatives, you know, who she would have been brought up with, or in that landscape and those sorts of things. Trying to think, what other things does she get up to that remind me of me? But no, she's definitely separate from me. But yeah, I don't know if that answers your question. I'm sorry.
Now, you've worked on other projects before. People are familiar with some of them, but for this role, obviously, it's a leading role, and obviously, an actor, people always work to get that sort of position. What does this film do for you, skill set wise, moving forward?
Um, well, it's definitely landed at a point in my career where I definitely had a calling to do an independent film and be part of this. You know, I really like getting with a family, a small team, and just shooting good shit, you know, like really people there with each other, wanting to be there, purely to make the story elevate and bring it to life. And you know, Nanouk did it in a very special, unique, only Nanouk way that only Nanouk can. So I would love if it was a kind of a role that if people saw it and thought maybe I didn't like getting my nails dirty or wanting to get into another kind of a character, like hopefully that opens up their heads that way if they ever have me in mind for something. But I don't know if it will ever. I'm not sure. Like, it was such an experience, such a unique experience on its own. Yeah, it was wonderful. But yeah, I'd love to do some more film. I'd love
Mhm.
to.
But Anouk, obviously, you've directed a number of films throughout the years. There's always a gap year and so forth. What did you learn from your last film that helped you out with this film, skill set wise? Whether it be location, story, writing, directing? Is there anything that you said, okay, after you've completed this movie, you're now thinking about your next project that you're going to bring on?
The last movie I did was with a young boy who had never acted before. The film was called Cobain, and he was like 16. We found him outside of school smoking secretly, so his parents didn't know he smoked. And what I learned from him is to direct him. He had no like skills to refresh himself. So if we did a scene once and we wanted to do a second take, I had to, make it a little bit different, or challenge him, or give him a little different assignment. And in the process of making that film with him, I found that if you give more time to a scene when you're filming, if you just don't say stop too soon, just let it ease out and see what happens. And luckily for us in this film, we had some moments where we could let the camera roll, especially in the woods, figuring out, the trail cams, or how to put on the rucksack, or get something else out of the rucksack, take an apple, just little moments. And not everything is in the film, but I can say that those improvised moments, they give you gold. Like with the father in the hospital, there was a scene that was all written, and there was dialogue, and there was crying, and there was no, and you and me, and we love each other and everything. But we kept on it, and we took time. And that's what I learned with the kid, that if you take the time, there's moments coming, and the whole crew is sort of alert, and we're all looking. And then Natasha just went to sleep on his stomach for a moment. She just lay down and closed the eyes, and that's such a beautiful, intimate moment. And that it says so much more in the body language than if you say, I love you, or I miss you, or you can't die, or my last relative, or anything, like just tell it with the body. But in order to find it, you have to, yeah, give yourself some time, or give everybody some time. Yeah.
What I want to say is congrats on the films, congrats on your performance, Natasha. And obviously, it's a greater feeling when you get selected to have your world premiere at TIFF. So congrats on that as well. I'll be looking forward to see what other people say. Looking forward to other projects down the road. But for now, congrats on this one. Take care, folks.
Thank you.
Much. Bye.
Bye.
Take care.